All right. Good afternoon, South Coast. It's Mike Sylvia from Fall Reporter and New Bedford Guide. We are here to have an interview with one of the mayoral candidates from Fall River, Sam Sutter. We're going to have Mayor Coogan next week at the same time, 5:30. Keep it fair and balanced. But first, we're just going to do a quick message from our sponsor, which is Bay Coast Bank.
Bay Coast Bank is your neighborhood bank, helping our community for over 170 years. When you bank with Bay Coast, you can rest easy, knowing 100% of your deposits are fully insured by combined coverage provided by the FDIC and DIF. Isn't it good to know your deposits are protected? Trust the bank that has provided exceptional service and solutions to Southern New Englanders for generations. Trust Bay Coast Bank. Learn more about the benefits of banking with Bay Coast by visiting baycoast.bank. Member FDIC, member DIF.
All right. So welcome, Sam. If you could just people might not know who you are, so just tell people a little bit about yourself and why you should be mayor of Fall River.
Well, my name is Sam Sutter, and I have been living in Fall River for 33 years. I moved to the city in 1990 when I got a job with the Bristol District Attorney's Office, fell in love with it and stayed. I fell in love with it for many reasons, from the mix of people to the history, architecture. My wife grew up in the South End, so I am definitely Fall River by decision. And I ran for office for the first time in 2006. I took on it's kind of similar to this race in some respects. I took on a 16-year incumbent who had close to $1 million. I had zero in my war chest. We only raised 65,000, but the issues were on my side in 2006. Gun violence was at an all-time high in Fall River. It's higher now, so I'll just emphasize that. Jack Souza said in 2006 it was at an all-time high. It's higher now, and it's hurting business, and it's hurting the people that live in areas where the shootings are taking place. But that was a huge issue in 2006. The previous district attorney was only able to solve homicides, and that's the primary responsibility of a district attorney. He couldn't figure out how to solve them at more than a 50% rate. And there were lots of cold cases that were ripe to be solved. So gun violence, cold cases, and the police felt as if they were disconnected and even disenfranchised from the district attorney, and they were fed up. So I got Will has a great memory. He may remember better than I, but I think I got half of the 20 police unions in the county. I know I got Attleboro, Taunton, and New Bedford. I did not get Fall River. They chose to stay out of it. But I won that race and was district attorney for the next 8 years, and then I was anxious to do something else. And so I had run for Congress in 2012, and I didn't win that race, but I clobbered Bill Keating in Bristol County. I beat him 3-1, 75-25, and I beat him in Fall River 83-17%. So, but I wasn't able to win because that district, Mike and Will knows this, that district has become a Cape district. That's where most of the votes are. I'd say maybe 60 to 65% of the votes are on the Cape. If you include Plymouth County, then it gets up to maybe 70, 75%. So anybody from New Bedford who wants to succeed Bill Keating has to run very strong on the Cape. And then in 2014, I decided to run for mayor of Fall River. I always dreamed about being mayor, and I wasn't sure I would ever get a chance. So I ran and I won, but then I lost after 1 year because I was faced with a fiscal crisis. I was going to have to lay off 25 police, 25 firefighters, a number of city hall workers, and I made the decision to put in a new fee. And I should have said it was a 1-year fee, and I think I could have made that case. And I think my good friend Will Flanagan suggested that I say that, but I wasn't sure that I could actually do that. And in any event, that was my undoing. And then I went back to practicing law, which I've done for the last 8 years, but once again, dreaming about another chance to be mayor of the city that I love. And so that's my personal story. As far as the substantive reasons that people want to hear about with respect to why I'm running, well, I think they're three or four prominent ones. And I'd say number one is that the taxes are soaring for regular folks. And the reason that they're soaring is because this mayor has proven incapable of bringing in new business. I don't know what the problem is. He had $60 million in federal money to try to stoke that issue. He just can't do it. And maybe the reason is because he's never had to do it. He's been in the system. He's been employed by the state system now his entire career. So to my knowledge, he never had to build a business like you had to build a business, Mike, like Will had to build two businesses, his law practice and the dispensary, like I've had to build businesses. He seems to have no clue about what it takes to bring new business into, no clue. So obviously I knew what I was doing with respect to bring in new business, because I was able to finalize the Amazon deal, which Will started, but I had the Market Basket and the mall. That was just a vision when I became mayor, and I was able to get that done in 1 year. Plus, there were numerous small businesses that expanded on my watch because they knew that they had a pro-business mayor in myself. So Matuk, Blount, Millstone Medical, New England Ropes, there were others. They all expanded. And that, I think, is the key to stabilizing taxes, is bringing in new business. And as I said, people have to think, who's got the record of doing it? Who doesn't have the record of doing it? Same thing with crime. So even though I had to laugh when somebody sent me a video the other day of him saying, we're in a good place with respect to crime. I'll tell you what a good place was. And I know I'm throwing bouquets at Mr. Flanagan, but a good place was where we were in January of 2014, when Mayor Flanagan and District Attorney Sutter and Chief Racine, and I know Will remembers this well, held a press conference announcing a 3-year significant decline in serious crime in Fall River. Gun violence, property crime, other crimes. We had the charts. We had the press conference. I could almost even give you the date. It was January 11, 12, something like that, 2014. That was when Fall River was getting into a good place. Not now. When we're second in the state. I'm almost done. Second in the state in violent crime. I think we'll probably be first in per capita shootings this year. We were at 55 as of the beginning of August. They're stealing 3 or 4 cars a day, Will and Mike. That was announced by Sergeant Pacheco at the Maplewood Neighborhood Association 2 weeks ago. So it is unacceptably high. So that's another issue. Go ahead.
Let me jump in with a question, Mayor. You ran for the office of mayor in 2014. You started your term in 2015. Do you believe the city was in a better place then, or is it in a better place now? How did we get to a worse place if it's worse now, and what are you going to do to fix it?
Well, I would ask you these questions. Did the downtown have more thriving businesses then or now? Obviously, the answer is then, 2015. Let's go to the end of 2015, okay? What had transpired during 2015? Well, we brought in Market Basket, the mall, Amazon. There were businesses downtown that were doing pretty well. Crime was not nearly where it is now. Schools haven't improved over the last 8 years. So clearly the city, everything from trash in the streets to homelessness to addiction, what's better? I mean, give me a significant issue that is better than it was in 2015. Crickets, right? None of them. Not crime, not homelessness, not addiction, not new business, not schools. Zip. And he's had the last 4 years. So he was a caretaker after Jazel Correa, and the city needed that. But many people could have done that job. Many people could have been a caretaker. Then after that, it was time to push the city forward. He has proved incapable of doing that. So, I mean, it's I think Fall River's at a crossroads. Don't you think anybody looking at the city right now would say, you know, Fall River's at a crossroads? We've got 19 acres of the waterfront waiting to be developed. We've got a train coming from Boston. whether it takes 90 minutes, 2 hours, or 2.5 hours, depends on who you talk to. We've got a downtown that's deserted. We've got the Flint that's deserted. We've got crime soaring. I mean, Fall River's at a crossroads. Who do you want to lead the city right now? I mean, who has a record of success and who just has a record of going along to get along?
So, Sam, let me ask. We had an election 2 weeks ago. Coogan got 60%, you got 35%. Why do you think the results were so bad, and what can you do to turn that around?
So here's what I will tell you guys. So I look at it a little bit differently. I look at it this way. I lost by 1,700 votes, and there were 7,000 people that voted. So if we have a normal election, there'll be another 9,000 to 10,000 people who vote on election day. And I'm talking to two political pros. He did what we were not able to do. He got his vote to the polls. So, and the majority of his plurality, okay, probably a clearer way to say that. So I think there was about 1,000 vote difference in the early voting based on, Ryan Lyons can't tell me exactly what it was because they counted the ballots from the beginning of early voting to September 11. And I was down 2-1 in that. So I was down by, I think it was 1,500 to 700. So I was down by 800 votes already as of September the 11th. Then there was the period from September 11th to September 19th. That's 10 days. And another 800 to 1,000 people voted. So even by the same percentages, that's where I mostly lost. On same day voting, by my calculation, I might have lost by 500 votes. I guarantee you there would be a completely different feeling if I had only lost the primary, the challenger to the incumbent, losing the primary. I think Will lost the primary to Kathy Ann by more than, how much did you lose by Will to Kathy Ann?
It was a small margin, but we were able to make it up in the general.
Right. And everybody knew you were going to win because Kathy Ann had a ceiling that she'd never surpassed. So I remember vividly what happened. You almost became a foregone conclusion after the primary for that reason. People didn't think that she could eclipse her ceiling, which she had in several elections. So as I remember, you won by, I think, 5 or 6 points. Did you not?
We beat her, I think, 60-40. So we were
okay,
able
so
to
even more than that. So Mike and Will, the thing that we have to do better this time, but the support is out there. I've knocked on, between myself and my wife and my daughter joined me at times, my nephew joined me at times, some of my friends. I mean, we're close to 1,000 doors that we've knocked on. So the support is there. I know I enjoy it. I think it's something that all politicians should do if they have the time. Obviously, if you have a demanding job, it's hard to do, but I had a demanding job. I'm a practicing lawyer. So, and I think the support is there. I'm quite confident of that. And it's just a question of getting people to the polls. And I think we're going to be able to do that. Plus, I think the debates are going to make a big difference.
Mayor, let me jump back in. You seem pretty clear on your message and your vision. Now, while you're going door to door, do the people's concerns align with your vision? What are you hearing from the people when you knock on their door? Are they more concerned what's happening at the border in Washington, D.C. with the Republicans ousting a speaker? Or are they more concerned what's happening in the Flint and in the Maplewood?
Will, I didn't hear anybody talking about Washington, D.C. And the one poll that we did right at the outset, and it was a poll about what's on people's minds and do they think the mayor can make a difference. And what I was fascinated by in the poll, because I thought there might be apathy. I thought there might be a large percentage of people that were so discouraged. Now, granted, we were only polling the people who regularly vote, but I thought that there might even be kind of an indifference among that group. But people think that the mayor makes a difference in their lives. People in Fall River clearly believe the mayor makes a difference in their lives. So, and as far as the issues are concerned, what we've seen is exactly what the polls showed. People are concerned about crime. People are concerned about their taxes. People are concerned about waste in government, whether their tax money is being managed efficiently. Clearly, it's not. People are concerned about rents. People are concerned about addiction and schools. So, but that's what I heard going door to door. The responses I got going door to door mirrored I would say to my people afterwards, I'd say it's amazing how accurate a poll can be.
So let me ask Sam, you said that Mayor Coogan does not know how to create business. Tell me how you will bring businesses to Fall River.
Well, let's talk about what I did with the mall and the market and Market Basket. So the developers' names are Ron Golub and Steve Cohen. And they said to me, we're not going to sink money into this project unless we get an anchor tenant. And the anchor tenant we want is Market Basket. And you can see why, right, guys? You can see why. When I was trying to figure out where I was going to announce, I went to Market Basket one Sunday morning at about 6:30. I don't know whether either of you have ever been there at that time. There were already 60 or 70 cars in the parking lot. Now, it's not supposed to open until 7, but they have this service that they provide. Maybe it's mostly for seniors, for those who get there early on Sunday morning. So those developers are successful developers for a reason. And they knew that that anchor tenant would lead to Chick-fil-A, Tropical Smoothie, Starbucks, Grill 110, whatever, the movie theater. So I set about delivering Market Basket to the developers, and I did. And that just takes a combination of determination and skill and persuasiveness, and I got it done. And I can tell you this, we came darn close. Oh, I hit the wrong button, Lisa.
No, you're good.
Okay, I lost the video, which is fine.
Hold on.
I don't need to look at myself.
Okay, but we'll find it. Hold on. I think it's
Okay.
Sorry,
I get very animated about this.
there you go.
So, Mike and Will, we came close to also delivering that year, either Biogen or Novartis. I believed, and Will and I have debated this, but I believed that a life sciences company was the answer to the biopark. And so I set about trying to deliver that for the people of Fall River. And we came very close with both of those companies. Both those are Fortune 500 companies, Novartis and Biogen. And we made the finals. It was between us and 2 other locations. And I remember somebody from Governor Baker's team, and it might have been Jay Ash, who was the head of economic development. It was somebody after we lost out on Novartis, and he said, Mayor, he said, you just keep your shoulder to the wheel, and you're going to get one of these. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to do it, but I know how to bring in new business. I know how to build a business. I've done it. He hasn't. That's pretty simple. That's a pretty simple equation. We lost the video again.
Let me ask another question, Mr. Mayor. You're seeing, if you turn on any major news station, mayors like Mayor Adams in New York, Mayor Wu in Boston is dealing with the migrant issue. The governor, Maura Healey, has declared a state of emergency in Massachusetts, and tens of thousands of migrants have either entered or will enter the state of Massachusetts. Does Mayor Sutter welcome migrants with open arms, or is Fall River not a place where migrants should relocate?
It's not a place where migrants should relocate. That's a simple one. So I disagree with the governor on that. Fall River has enough issues. We don't need another huge issue. So no, we've got a problem, Will, with soaring rents. We can't be providing housing for migrants when we can't provide housing for our own people. Homelessness has grown, I would say, and I think I'm kind of an expert on this, because why? Because my office is on Borden Street, Old Second. So Will, you and Mike both know this is one of the gathering places for the homeless. I know these people by individual name. I won't give their I know Ray and I know his story. I know Kevin and I know his story. They gather here. There are benches. There's the garage, which provides warmth and shelter. So, and I visited the other encampments. So we have a problem right here that we need to solve for people who are either from the city or became attached to the city. So that's an easy one. No.
Okay, so the last city council meeting, homelessness was discussed for like 2 hours, and a few key points I'd like you to address. So after about an hour and a half discussion, I think it was Linda Pereira and also Sean Kadim and a few others, they came to this light bulb moment, which was maybe too much funding for this issue is actually causing the problem, because the surrounding communities don't take on the homeless. They actually come to Fall River because there's so many resources here. You have Catholic social services, you have all this money. I've looked into it. The more money we spend in cities like New Bedford, Fall River, the more the homeless count goes up. So what is the real solution to the problem in Fall River? Or do you think that spending more money is the solution?
No. And obviously, I have thought a lot about this. I started thinking about this as I got to know some of these guys. And I would ask them, what if there was one thing that would make your life better, what would it be? And I would get their answers. Mike and Will, the thing that we need on this, it's the same thing we need with a police department and crime. It's the same thing we need with the schools. We need leadership, real leadership, not just go along to get along. We need vision and leadership. So what does that mean for the homelessness issue? It means having a plan. So we've got, as you know, we've got 7, 8, 9, 10 different organizations trying to do something for the homeless, but we have no cohesion. We have no overall plan. And we don't know the individual names. I do, of the people that hang out outside my office. So I envision this, and this has been done in other places. According to Marlene Gill of the Interfaith Council, we looked into it, and this is this is accurate. So Bergen County in New Jersey has almost eliminated homelessness. There was an approach that they took. It started off with cohesion and coordination. So everybody working together, not just this organization doing that organization doing this, to have an overall, starting off with gathering all of the stakeholders at City Hall and coming up with a plan and a vision, and then having somebody to devote part of their job to that issue, to the point where, and I really believe this can be done. So you are actually tracking the individual, whether it's what do you estimate it is, Will? What's the number? 300?
It's a lot.
Well, I'd say 300 to 400. So you can't tell me. I mean, we've organized law officers. So I would say that your caseload when you were at your peak was certainly 200. So you know how to organize something like that. I know how to organize something like that. This mayor doesn't know how to do it. He's never had to do it. So I can guarantee you, I could organize an extremely well thought out plan to deal with the 200 to 400 people, to make their lives a little bit better on a weekly basis or monthly basis without spending any more money. Give me the chance and I'll show you what I can do.
Let me real quick, Will, before we got some comments, I'm just going to pull one up and see if we can get some people from Fall River asking questions. You can see it on your screen there. It says, will you mandate extermination services in Section 8 housing like the towers full of cockroaches when some tenants refuse? So, when sometimes community housing, when it's, 20 apartments inside one building, one person can be, maybe a slob or have problem with roaches, and it gets into all the buildings. Is that something that a mayor even could mandate, or is that something that the state would have to take care of?
So first of all, I know that this has been a problem. I spoke at Mitchell last month. I would take the exact same approach. I would personally go to the place, sit down with the stakeholders. Obviously, that would be the tenants, and see if we could work something out. I'm assuming that the reason why some people don't like the extermination is because they're concerned about the chemicals, right?
Yeah, I don't know exactly.
I mean, would have to be something like that. But
It could be the cost. It could be other.
yeah, well, I mean, once again, I think every situation is different, but I'm going to be a hands-on mayor, and I'll be there and I'll be talking. We'll come up with a solution, and I believe that I can do that. I think that's a great question. It's a great question. I'll have a better answer for that next time. Great.
We got about 10 minutes, so if we could get we're going to ask a few more questions and kind of keep them short answers. So go ahead.
I wish I had 10 minutes, but it's 5:57. Go
Okay.
ahead. I'll
We got
take
about
a
5
few
minutes.
more. I'll take a few more. Yep.
Mayor,
Good.
you talk to parents, especially parents of younger children, or you speak to our youth directly, and many of them may say there is nothing in Fall River for the youth to do. As mayor, will you be a champion of the youth, and what programs or businesses or organizations would you recruit or promote for Fall River so parents don't have to leave the city to do something with their children?
Well, I think Fall River has the same problem that all cities and even all towns have. I think that kids are indoors too much. I think kids are not outside exercising enough. It's been a while since my kids have been involved in youth sports, but I mean, I was about to say obviously, but a lot of people don't know my background. But I have a very deep sports background, as did my parents, and was one of the greatest joys of my life. I will be devoted. My favorite part of the job, Will, was the school committee. And a huge part of that is trying to have opportunities for kids after school to exercise and have fun, and not just be cloistered and shut down in their apartments and homes. So I will be devoted to that. I mean, I know that people have talked about the Armory as a community center. That might take some time to do, but I think if you have I mean, once again, it's leadership. I mean, I don't want to date myself, but one of the greatest leaders of the 20th century in this country was able to get literally hundreds of thousands of kids, including me, to start exercising. I mean, I'm older than you guys, but JFK's physical fitness program, that resonates with me to this day, and he did it. And I mean, he saw the value of it, and he promoted it. And the next thing you know, it was something that was almost the norm. So I think once again, it's leadership. Is what is the mayor saying about after school activities? What is the mayor demonstrating that he thinks we should be doing to create greater opportunities for our kids to have to exercise and to have fun after school?
So let me ask a question. It's kind of a two-part. So property taxes, I asked in my Fall River group how much your property taxes went up. One guy had captured, and it went from like $1,800 to like $3,600 over like a 7-year period. And I think the property tax was so high that it obviously impacts the rents, and we know rents are high. In Fall River, you get basically a 900 square foot apartment for $1,400. Is there anything we can do to get the rents down and also property taxes down as a mayor? And if you could be specific.
Well, Mike, I'm going to be releasing my position on soaring rents in Fall River at some point within the next few days. I would say a week at the most, certainly before the debates start. And I think we have some very worrisome trends taking place. So this concentration on market rate housing, in my opinion, is driving up rents. So I haven't added up the number of units, but the number of units that have been added of market rate housing since 2015, when I was mayor, is well into the thousands. And those clearly have had the impact of increasing rents. And people are suffering. People who pay rent are suffering as a result. I have several stories I could tell you, but this is the one that really jumped out at me. A woman named Jennifer, and she was paying $1,400 for her rent. And her landlord said, obviously because of what's happening with the market rate housing. So if you go over to Cornell, I went over to Cornell. I went over there with my nephew who has just graduated from college, and he wanted to see an apartment with a view towards potentially moving in. And what do you think that apartment was going for? Two bedroom, Cornell, $2,500. So what do you think that does to the person in the 2-bedroom in a tenement? It forces the rents up. So the landlord said to her, we're going to raise your rent from $1,400 to $1,800. And she said, I can't afford it. And the landlord said, tough luck. So she moved to New Bedford, and she has a 2-bedroom apartment that she says is better for $800. So you tell me.
Well, they're moving to New Bedford or the woods of Fall River. So
Well, the people
how do
that form the backbone of the city are suffering as a result of soaring rents. So I'm going to tell you what my plan is, and we're going to get them help.
Okay. Well, I think we're at the time because you have to be somewhere. So we'll end here. So why don't you just end it with a last minute of what you'd like to talk?
Well, I think that we have, I mean, I think there are a lot of undecided voters. I ran into one, I came out of a place this afternoon. I ran into a guy, I'll give you his first name is Jeff. And he said, Sam Sutter, and everybody knows me. And I said, are you with me? And he said, I'm not sure. I said, oh, so you're undecided? He said, yes. I said, watch the debates. I will. When are they going to be? I said, well, we have one next Thursday. We have one next Friday. We have one on the 27th. But what this mayor is refusing to do so far is to debate me in a public place. He likes closed studio debates. So I want an open debate, open to the public, town hall type debate. Questions that, questions from regular folks that you haven't been notified about ahead of time, those kinds of questions. And so let's see if he agrees to that. My bet is that he won't, but maybe he'll surprise me. Will Flanagan would have agreed to it. So let's see if Paul Coogan does.
Okay. So
all right. Thank you, guys.
Yep. Appreciate your time, Sam.
Okay. Take care. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon. Appreciate the opportunity.